All right, guys, welcome on into Three Bold Takes. It is our top five of the top 25 way, way too early rankings, guys. Freddie, Chase, and Quinn here. Quinn, let me talk to you. Top five, give it to me, baby.
All right, guys. My number five, we're going to start out in Eugene, Oregon with the Ducks. I
Come
like
on.
the roster they got. The only reason I'm not putting them any higher than number five is because I've got to see them get it done against top end teams of their conference under this current regime. They've struggled in those big moments over the last 2 years. Now you're moving to the Big Ten, where let's be real, I've got Michigan 11, I got Penn State at 6, I've got you at 5. I still haven't mentioned Ohio State yet. They're going to be in your conference. You're gonna have to get it done in those big games, and now there's more of them. Your
Right.
big game isn't just USC, Utah, and Washington anymore. You're moving up. So I've got to see it get. I do think they're going to be similar to Oklahoma, but on a bigger scale. I think they're going to be a better team in 2024, but I'm not sure if the record is going to reflect how good of a team I think this team is. But for the time being, Oregon is my number five. At number four, this is where I got the Texas Longhorns coming into the SEC as the number four team in the country. I think they got a super great roster. They've been doing some awesome stuff in the transfer portal and on the recruiting trail. Sarkisian, obviously. I think, in my opinion, Sarkisian is a top three coach in college football right now out in Austin. Um, I think they're set to do a lot of good things in the conference. Their schedule is very favorable, lining up in the SEC, but I'm not super convinced that they're going to get it done completely. A big reason for that is my team at number three. Get ready. The Lane hype train is real for
There it is.
2024.
There it is.
I am over the moon for Ole Miss in 2024. I expect Lane Kiffin to take this team to their first ever SEC championship game in 2024.
Very
Get
bold.
ready. You're dodging Alabama. Sure, you got to play Georgia, but you get them in a super loaded season for Georgia. They're playing Clemson, they're playing Auburn, Bama, they're playing Texas. They've got a rivalry game against that cupcake down in Gainesville. Like you're set up for such a good season, and the stuff they've been doing on, especially in the transfer portal game, I am stoked for the probability of what 2024 Ole Miss can be. At number two, this is where I got Ohio State and Ryan Day. Uh, they, I expect them to go on a warpath this year. Their bugaboo is gone. Jim Harbaugh left. Their roster's loaded. They've got great experience now in their at offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly coming in. This team's going to be loaded and dangerous. I expect them to go on a warpath through the Big Ten. And honestly, I would not be shocked to see them in the national title game under Ryan Day for the second time. Like, this team is going to be super good in 2024. And then obviously my number one, this probably I feel is going to get super repetitive, is Georgia. I mean, let's be real. Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football. This team's won 2 of the last 3 national titles. You could make a case, and I've seen many ex-Georgia players and fans make this case, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, that if Georgia was in the playoff last year, they probably win the whole thing. I think Alabama got super up for the SEC title and upset them. I think Georgia was a better football team. I don't think Georgia. You sit in that scenario. I think they're probably either playing Texas or Florida State, um, or I guess no, they're probably playing Texas. They're beating Texas, and then they're going to turn around and beat Michigan. Like, sorry, like that's the reality of what Georgia is right now. I don't expect that to change. I think this is a really, really strong opportunity for Georgia to cement themselves as a college football dynasty. by getting 3 and 4 years, is some people's terms. In mine, it's 3 and 5, so they still have one more season to pull it off. But yeah, I expect Georgia to have a phenomenal 2024. But it's going to be a serious test. They do not have a very easy schedule for 2024. So if this Georgia team, given the 12-team playoff, the expanded SEC, the lack of playing in the SEC East anymore and having to play a seriously tough schedule, if this Georgia team goes all the way and wins the whole thing, you can make a case to me that this is the best Georgia team of all time.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and say Georgia's my number one too. So I'll just skip that. At number five, I have Penn State here. Now I was hype on them last year. And here we are yet again, another offseason, another Penn State hype train for me. Good news is, if you're a Penn State fan, you only have to play one of the Michigan and Ohio States. You only play one. You don't play both. You only play one. So that just right there eliminates a loss from your season. So if you go 10-2 without that game, you're looking at 11-1. You're making the playoffs, right? I wish it worked out that way, but Penn State at 5 here. This is where I have Oregon coming in at number 4. Quinn, I'm with you. I've got to see them do it against far superior talent and teams. We saw a couple of years ago when they went into Columbus, Ohio and beat Ohio State. They outmanned them. They were more physical than they were. So that leads me to believe that Oregon is a team that can compete in the Big Ten. However, week in and week out, I do not know. And you also have to think about travel as well, being a potential hurdle for them in the Big Ten. I have Texas at number 3. Coming into the SEC, obviously they made the playoffs last year. I just think they have too much coming back next year, and as well as Sarkisian, for them not to be up here yet again. So that's why I have them at number 3, and then Ohio State at number 2. Listen, they are loaded, coaching, roster, everything, but this kind of, I don't want to say reminds me of a Texas A&M year when they had all this hype because they had everything at their disposal, the best players, one of the best coaches at the time, blah, 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 and they miserably failed. Now, I don't expect Ohio State to miserably fail like Texas A&M did and go 7-5. A miserable fail for Ohio State next year is a 10-2 regular season with the roster and the coaching staff that they have. So look out, because I personally think that will happen. I think Ryan Day and Chip Kelly may butt heads way too much this year. Quinn?
Real quick, a 10-2 season, is that finally all that you need if you're Ohio State to get rid of
Yes.
Ryan Day? Because
Yes.
I know they're right on the cusp right
Yes.
now.
I
Yeah.
think so. And then you promote Chip Kelly as head coach. Chase.
For me, 5, I'm gonna go Alabama here. I hate that you lose Ryan Grubb, but this is still a very, very solid roster overall. And Kalen DeBoer has done an amazing job keeping a lot of these players intact and keeping a lot of the recruits coming in. Also, solid pickup in Ryan Williams. People are relating him to like a Julio Jones type signing for DeBoer, so that's huge. Number 4 for me, I'm gonna go Oregon. I think they're honestly probably gonna dominate in the Big Ten, mainly because they're a solid all-around team, which is something you don't get. You either get one side of the ball in the Big Ten. You either get all offense or all defense, right? I think Ohio State might be besides Michigan this year, but Ohio State has been one of the best all-around teams. You see them dominate every single year. I think Oregon, Dan Lanning are gonna do the same thing. 3 for me, I'm gonna go Ohio State here. Ryan Day hasn't proved it for me, and so that's why you saw me so emphatic over Quinn's question right there. Is 10-2 is not good enough. And looking at their schedule, they have 3 games: Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan. That's it. And if honestly, you can go 11-1, but if you lose to Michigan this year, I'm considering firing Ryan Day. What is that? 4 years in a row? 5 years?
Or
And I think before that you hadn't lost to him over 2 years in a row, any coach. So that's considerable for me. It's a Big Ten isn't super heavy hitting. For a lot of those teams, they will get a lot better this year with Washington and Oregon, but Ohio State's got to step it up. Number 2 for me, I'm going Texas. this is probably the best offense in all of college football. As long as their defense comes along with them, I think this is going to be a really, really, really good team. So I love Texas. I love what they're doing. And then you return guys. Honestly, if I was Quinn Ewers, my draft stock's up. I'm probably a day 2 guy. Do I want to go play in the SEC or do I want to take the shot and go to the NFL? I don't know. This is a weak QB draft class. Is next year when Quinn Ewers will come out now. But playing SEC competition, I love Ewers. I love Sarkisian. I love what they do. Man, book it. They're going to be a top team. And then lastly, Georgia. I think Georgia does drop a couple games this year. I'll put that out there. I really, really do. But I think that they're going to be a number 1 to start the year. But you lose Bowers, man. You bring Carson Beck back. You lose a couple of your defensive guys that have been really helpful in the secondary. But as long as because there are those weird rumors that Kirby's going to go to the NFL. Guys, we're not professionals. Please don't take us as such. But I don't buy it at all. I don't think he leaves for the NFL right away, because he is the standard right now. He is college football. And so I think Kirby Smart, playing his cards right and has the right guys in place to help him recruit and stuff, and with the NIL situation, I think he is the coach to beat for the next decade. So Kirby Smart at 1 for me. But guys, there's our top 5. Not a lot of changing. We had a lot of the same teams right there. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the 3 bold takes. Chase, Freddie, and Quinn, man, thank you so much for watching the top 25 way too early rankings.